Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we're discussing my thoughts on episode 4 of the anime series ClassicaLoid, where we have the debut of another ClassicaLoid in the form of Franz Schubert. And this was really an interesting episode because they kind of dialed back the hilarity, not so much the absurdity, the hilarity, the laughs and everything like that. And we're beginning to see what I perceive to be a darkened undertone, where effectively when Schubert awakens, it's kind of hearkening back to certain scenes from Final Fantasy VII, where you see Cloud being debuted to these repressed memories that he was awoken as if a clone, you know, that kind of thing, in this giant room full of these pods that were holding clones within them, Sephiroth leading him there and everything like that. For those unfamiliar with that particular game, that's the vibe I'm getting from the earliest scenes flashing back for Schubert in his memory of when he saw this godlike being that he considers to be Beethoven, Beats-sama, in this particular series. He saw them escaping, and when I say them, I mean Beethoven, Mozart, and an as-yet unrecognized character. This character kind of looks like he has a little bit of a fro going on. When we see them escaping wherever they're escaping from, Beethoven and Mozart have their hands clasped on this third character, and it's as if they're whisking him away. Now, I don't know if this is like a chief scientist who's creating them. If they are clones, I presume they must be clones of these original musical artists, because they have so much of the memories going on and they have so much of the passion and that kind of thing, but not all of them are exactly as cracked up as what they ought to be if they're you know, an entire 100% clone, 100% authentic. Case in point, Beethoven himself, his absolute obsession with gyoza. Where did that come from? You know, is this maybe something that was implanted in the birthing matrix, the birthing, process of these clones, if that's in fact what these ClassicaLoids are? I had speculated in an earlier episode discussion video, could they be of alien origin, something along those lines? But when you see Schubert, basically stark naked, seemingly coming out of what looks like a container or a pod, some kind of stasis unit, looking out the window and looking down upon this courtyard of this darkened building, this industrial complex, and you see Beethoven and Mozart whisking away this third party, and they're running for their ever-loving lives. It's like, wow, what in the hell is going on with the ClassicaLoids? And of course, we've had this on-again, off-again hinting that Bach-sama, who has sent, effectively Liz to go find Chopin because he had gone, missing. Like, it speaks to something very ominous and nefarious going on. And I also put forth the speculation that could it be something along the lines of, the process of music, like Bach wants to rule the world through creating this homogenized, processed music that harkens into the musique that these ClassicaLoids bring forth. And as we see, once again, on a very emotional sort of triggering, in this episode, is Schubert effectively calling forth the music once again. And it's all because of his obsessive, compulsive seeking out Beethoven. And I love his entire sort of transfixed journey, if you will. There's a lot of early soul searching going on at the start of the episode. Things are in a very pale color, and everywhere he goes, we see people are becoming infantile. It is a plague that is apparently spreading all around the entirety of the area he is traversing. Everywhere he goes, he leaves this infantilism in its wake, because of this chief, basically classical song he composed called Lullaby. And you hear this throughout the episode. I believe it's the one they played during the end credits as well. And it's absolutely operatic and beautiful. And it really colored shades, if you will, also, to my mind, of the film Amadeus, which is about Mozart, and how there was some rivalry with the narrator of that particular film, whose name escapes me, but they mention it in this episode. One of the people calling out Schubert for being nothing but a copycat, nothing but someone who was copying the musical processes of Beethoven and Mozart. And you have this really disdainful hate on Schubert's part for Mozart, for this sort of devil-may-care, riotous kind of character, not taking things seriously, again, very much in line with the way the film Amadeus portrays the Mozart character. And at least in the narrator's case, Schubert is filling in this episode for the narrator as being someone who cannot stand how someone like Mozart could be such an artist, such a world-renowned, sound artiste, that kind of thing. And the idea that, he goes up to a gyoza stand, and this just happens to be what Beethoven is desperately looking for. He's still trying to get and find and seek out the perfect gyoza. And you think their paths are inevitably going to intertwine because of that. Ends up having nothing to do with that by the end, them finally running into each other. But I had suspected that he didn't have dime one. And so when he ends up scarfing down this whole box of gyoza, sure enough, the guy's like, hey, pay me. And when he can't pay, sure enough, he puts him to work. And then you see him selling seemingly box after box after box. He is just, bringing people with his wonderful singing, his beautiful voice, and the absolute, gorgeous aroma of this fried food. And then you find out after he's moved on, he hasn't sold a one. He's been giving them out for free inadvertently. He never took any money. So the boss guy of this little cart, of course, this little stand, is absolutely frustrated. You got him doing dances outside of like a preschool, and they're calling the cops on him. He was ranting and raving about Mozart, going down a peg or whatever. If he ever lays his sights on him when he hears Mozart's music in this antique shop and all this stuff, where he hears the gods' music, Beethoven himself playing on this music box, it's just, it was definitely absurd, and it was definitely hilarious, and it was just miraculous. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was thoroughly invested, because I was like, wow, how is this really going to play out? We had Chopin. It seemed like he just sort of crashed Kanai's house and was staying there for God knows how long, weeks probably. And then Liz shows up looking for him. She decides to move in. You got Beethoven and Mozart and everything. I'm like, how is this going to play out? Is it going to actually have, Schubert being arrested? Is he going to be able to move in with him? And then because of the big festival and the kites that are, going on in this competition, everybody turns into like baby mode when he turns on the music up to 11, Spinal Tap reference. And so effectively he gets himself caught up in one of these giant kites, and the next thing you know, they find him in frickin' Africa. What the hell? So yeah, I mean, this series, I did not know that the length of the series was going to be, I think, 24 or 25 episodes, and that absolutely shocked me when I found that out. I expected it to be an 11 to 13 episode series, and now that we're getting these first hints of a darker, more ominous affair going on with these ClassicaLoids, that very sort of cursory hinting that, maybe they're being cloned, maybe they're being utilized, as I said, for some ominous purpose, something to do with the musical industry, speaks to that idea of a grander, more epic story yet to be untold. And I'm chomping at the bit. I cannot wait to see how far along this goes. And I kind of hope, Shu-sama finds his way back. He was getting buddy-buddy with Sosuke, and that was pretty cool. And little Pad-kun or whatever it is identifying his music as usual and calling it absolutely weird for high school-aged people to be acting like a baby, really giving us no insight as to how this is happening, except that it's got to be something bleeding out of Schubert's music, something like that, with this lullaby piece, this epic operatic piece. And so yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of this episode. Love this series. Once again, the OP was on replay before I even got into the episode, at least 3 times. And yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.